and I think this is the point where I talk about what happened between my mother and my father. Is my mother died suddenly. We weren't expecting that quickly. And the whole event was a sudden thing, but between knowing something was wrong and her dying was more or less 3 weeks. And in those minutes afterwards, I was 17. I broke down crying, and then I left the room. I had been with her body maybe at most 5 minutes. And then after that, pretty quickly, the hospital took her body away. And that was awful. I couldn't tell what part of it was awful at the time. I mean, a parent dies, there's always a part of it that's awful. Um, and I was 17, things were happening beyond my comprehension. But when I look back, what was awful was that I didn't get this time to adjust to that reality. Um, and the amount of time I got with my dad like really helped me adjust to that fact that he was dead. Like I got to be with his body. And you got the dry ice because we needed to preserve his body. And it was also January, so it wasn't terribly hot in the first place. These kind of details are helpful, I suppose, if you're in a hotter climate or in the summer. But we got fortunate in some ways that his body stayed more or less the same as far as what we were seeing from the beginning to the time the hearse picked him up. The only change I remember seeing was that his fingers started to turn blue. Everything else was the same, as far as I remember. And so that time after he died, one of the main things that it helped me with was to adjust to the fact that he was dead, which I didn't get with my mother. And that's part of why I was so dead set on keeping his body, was because I knew what it was like to have someone die and then have their body like immediately, not violently, but emotionally kind of violently taken from you. Because it is a violence, no matter when it happens. Because I remember when the hearse took him and I felt like something was getting torn from me. But there is a point where that is what happens. But to reach a point where you're prepared for it and feel ready for it is so helpful. And I did not get that with my mother. But because of what we did, because of your help and my determination to not repeat that, I did get that with him. And I feel like that has made an absolute world of difference in my grieving process after, what is it now? Actually, what day is it?
It's almost
It's the
exactly
20th
six
here.
months, Dylan. It's almost exactly 6 months. We did
Yeah,
not do that on purpose. Isn't that amazing?
yeah, yeah. For you, it's the 19th, right? And he died on the 18th. So it's almost, yeah, wow. That is amazing, Jane. That's amazing. Yeah. But I say, and things always change. I don't know. I can't speak for Dylan 6 months from now or Dylan a year from now. But Dylan, right now, I can say that my grieving process between my mother and my father has been very different. One, because they're different people. Two, because I'm in different stages of my life. But a big part of it, three, was because the aftermath I handled very differently with him. I was able to handle it very differently because now I was an adult. And with my mother, I couldn't. My father was alive and there was hospital staff and all of this. So I feel, at least in the immediate aftermath of his death, like the first 6 months, it made a world of difference to have those 42 hours because I got to speak to him that whole time because I felt that he was still there. And there's probably a part that was um, like a subjective experience, like I was still relating to him as if he were still there. But I think there was something else happening. I really do, that he was still there. In one of the poems I wrote, I felt like the first day he looked like he was just sleeping. But by the second day, it didn't look like he was sleeping. It looked like he was dead. And watching that change, feeling that either subtly through him, I think there was that, but also in how I was relating to him really helped me as time went on. And then I reached a point where I felt comfortable letting him go, letting him get picked up, and ending my time with his body.